Welcome to the Perfect Life Awakening Show, hosted by Royce Morales. Royce has been a transformational facilitator, teaching groundbreaking, spiritually based courses for more than 4 decades. She is the author of 3 books about her teachings. Join Royce as she takes you on a journey into how to live your best life and find your true purpose through discovering the origins of subconscious, disempowering notions and releasing them. She talks with experts and inspiring people just like you who learned to trust their intuitive inner wisdom, which led to life-changing shifts. Today, her guests live an empowered existence and are helping change the world to a higher consciousness place based on truth and love. You deserve to awaken to, align with, and embody your true self and live a life filled with love. Transform yourself from triggered to empowered and create your perfect life. Here is your host, Royce Morales.
Hello, welcome everyone to my show. I'm so excited that you're here, braving any storms or snow or heat wave or wherever it is that you are. Just thrilled to have you. So today, we're going to talk about what is your creative life force. I think that everyone has that. We have a creative need, an inner need to create in some way, whether it's creating another human being, creating a relationship, creating a business, whatever it is, we have that creative, innate, inspiring need inside of us. But what happens when you consciously tap into that innate energy and channel it towards self-expression and personal growth? And I could safely say that most people watching my show have some taste of that, or at least the desire for that. So over the past 2 decades, or maybe even longer, Dr. Elsbeth Meuth and Freddy Zental Weaver have assisted more than 10,000 couples. That's amazing. And singles from all walks of life. So they have singles and couples, in case you're listening to this thinking, but I'm not in a couple. And they've assisted them in rekindling and expanding their love and relationships. They're the founders and the directors of the Tantra Nova Institute in Chicago, where it's very cold right now. And they're featured in Showtime's documentary series called Sexual Healing, and the Emmy award-winning NBC show called Starting Over. They're also, which I think is so cool, I'll have to ask about this, they originated the June 1st National Intimacy Day. I mean, we have days for everything else, right? So why not for intimacy? That's great. They are authors, and they wrote Sexual Enlightenment, How to Create Lasting Fulfillment in Life, Love, and Intimacy. And they shared their intimacy secrets at a global Young Presidents Organization conference in Paris. They got nominated as Changemaker at the White House-sponsored 2016 United States of Women Summit in Washington, D.C. What I think is most remarkable about this couple is that not only are they beloveds and have an amazing relationship, they are business partners. I was business partner with my husband for 21 years, and it was challenging. It really was. It's like 2 different parts of yourself all the time. And what they're going to share today is what happens when we embrace that powerful, empowering, creative energy. And as far as I'm concerned, and I know as far as they're concerned, this tapping, this channeling, this accepting of that energy is going to change the world. That's what it's going to do. So welcome, Elsbeth and Freddy. I'm so glad you're here again. This is our 3rd time getting together. I can't get enough of you guys.
Great to see you again, Royce.
Yeah, same here.
Now, I know that you probably have shared this on my show before, but for people that haven't seen you, I'd really love for you to talk about how your relationship began, how it transformed into business, and just tell us a little bit of your background. How did this all occur?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we met 25 years ago. I was in the software business in San Francisco, company hired me, moved me here. I was single. I was online looking for Shakti, a female tantra partner. Elsbeth's profile showed up. We met, and 6 months to the day we met, I call it transcending the romantic drama. We pooled our resources and created this work, which we've been doing, and really so excited to unpack a little bit of it with you today and your audience.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just 6 months, you just kind of knew. I mean, there was no doubt.
Yeah, it's like, the creativity that was our spark. Elsbeth had a dream to create a Tantra. She'll tell you more about her background, but she had this dream to create a Tantra Institute in Chicago. And I had been introduced to these practices when I was very young and had kept it as part of my own personal practice, not thinking to do it as a business. But when we met and she was looking for somebody who was familiar or was interested in, it clicked. And for both of us, we were just ready at our time in our careers in life to do something more meaningful, more heartfelt, more authentic.
Yeah, I was really looking for a Tantra partner. I had a few months before I met Freddy, I had completed a Tantric certification program. Before that, I was a management consultant, so far from Tantra. However, at the end of my management consulting career, I didn't know yet that it was the end. But I was very despaired about intimate relationship because I had a pattern of attracting unavailable men. And while that was exciting, most of the time I was alone. And so it just hit me that if I was not going to change that trajectory, that I would end up without lasting intimacy in my life. And I didn't want to settle for that, before. I mean, there's still enough time left before I'm going to leave this planet. Mm-hmm. And that is how I delved into Tantra. And Tantra is a transformational tradition that we can use to clear our blind spots, our stuckness, our despairs like mine in the realm of love and intimacy, including the sexual. And this practice opened up so much for me that I discovered that I had held distrust towards men, which I didn't know about. I was very charming as a management consultant and inviting, but I didn't feel like I was distrusting. But anyway, in the subconscious, there was something. And through the deep dive into the tantric healing, that revealed itself to me. It was very experiential. It's not intellectual. And through that clearing, I then became available. I had it like, oh, the men are not available. I'm so available. Yes, externally, I looked like that. Internally, when you don't trust, you're not available. Right. And so that was cleared. And then when Freddy came into my life, I was looking for a tantric partner, but, doing a business together was not the primary intention. And yes, as you said, once we came together, it felt like we were meant to meet to create something together that would actually go beyond the very personal relationship, and that at the same time is fueled by the personal relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So for those of you watching this or listening to this, can you give maybe a brief, you've described it really well, but give a brief explanation of exactly what Tantra is. What does it entail?
Yeah. So Tantra is originally the practice of the energetic body, yoga of the energetic body, unlike Hatha yoga of the physical form, which we're mostly familiar with now in the West. And it's working with life force or sexual energy as a way to transcend this physical experience to then create how we'd like our life to be with more joy, happiness, authentically expressed, and so on. And what we've done at Tantra Nova is we've integrated particular practices, somatic practices, breath practices, and sexual meditation practices from that tradition, and also blended it with Western approaches to transformation in terms of generative language, how we create our reality in language, creative self-discovery, how we discover ourselves in the creative process, in music and movement and art. And we've blended it all in a gestalt that allows, and we've been doing this for 25 years all over the world with thousands of couples and singles and getting results to create and bring in and bring forth what they most deeply desire. Coming from that, we don't see what we're doing to create what we're getting. Oftentimes it looks externally referenced. I feel bad because of the weather. I can't change the weather, but I can change how I feel about it. And that internal shift shifts what we believe, what we see, what we create.
Right. So it's kind of a mutual clearing process that utilizes energy and awareness and sexuality, I'm assuming, also.
Well,
Yeah. So when we look at the human being, the way we experience and feel, that's all frequency. Emotion is pure frequency. We cannot see an emotion. We cannot touch an emotion. We may see the facial features changing when someone is angry or someone is in love, but the actual emotion we don't see, we cannot touch. The same with our thoughts. We cannot see a thought. It's pure frequency vibration. The same thing with sexual energy, life force energy. Life force energy is pure frequency. And at certain moments, when this energy is aroused, it feels blissful, pleasant, pleasurable, So that's called a sensation. Sensations live in the body. Emotions, of course, are also experienced in the body. But like when I feel love, there's an opening of my heart center, often present. And so in the practice, the tantric practice, what we get guided in and learn more about is to reconnect to our sexual, emotional, and mental spiritual being so that we can come into balance, into wholeness, into flow. Because when we are in flow, we feel well. When the blood flows, when our nervous system is not constricted. In the nervous system, it often constriction shows up as pain, discomfort. If there is none of that, we feel well physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And the tantric practice is one of very few practices I'm familiar with that includes the becoming conscious of our sexual energy. Most transformational practices are designed to access our emotional self, our mental self, our spiritual self. In the experience, they are not separate, but in order to distinguish, to tune more with different dimensions, it's useful, to have these different levels to look for. So including the sexual level, that is our life force. And as you so beautifully said earlier, it's the creative. It's the bringing forth of new life through procreation. It's bringing forth our own life so we can learn to draw on that beautiful life-giving energy to create ourselves. Even we can use it to heal our physical body.
And so what we put together and what this work entails really is working with that life force energy in the altered state that happens for all of us when we're in that energy, whether you're doing consciousness work or not. When we are in our sexual energy at a low arousal or a higher arousal or with ourselves or with another, we're in an altered state. We're more open, loving, vulnerable, receptive, chemically more endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, the feel-good hormones. So we're in an altered state of awareness. So what we do with that energy is we share specific distinctions around breath awareness, energy awareness, and intention. Like I want to, if you dedicate a meditation to, I want to create a beloved or stop arguing with my beloved or work that's fulfilling or a place that's inspiring, whatever it might be, we get more connected to perhaps the story or belief and the energy and the frequency of that in this altered state that we otherwise can't get to. We might get to it linguistically in therapy. Oh, thanks for helping me see that. But how something lives for us energetically at a very deep level can be gotten to through this altered state. Now, many people now are using plant medicine and other approaches. Meditation's always been there, but working with sexual energy starts to allow us to work with something that is primordial, that is beyond us in terms of it was creating life before we had language. There is an intelligence that's encapsulated in sexual energy. The kernel of that energy is creativity. It creates life. And when we're in it, it's pleasurable. And when we bring consciousness to the sexual, creativity and pleasure start showing up in areas of life that seem completely unrelated to the sexual experience.
Yeah. So it's definitely, and I don't mean to be brass here, but it's definitely different than just lusting or, wow, he's really cute, or, it's so much beyond that. It's really tapping into consciousness and universal energy and power, really.
Glad you brought that up, because that energy, particularly the testosterone energy, has that driving, directional, outward tendency. And it's a wonderful energy, because if we look at the yin and yang energy, testosterone is the yang energy, simplified, and estrogen is the yin energy. I'm not just talking about men and women, because the same principle can show up in same-sex couples or bisexual couples or transgender couples, or partnerships. We don't have to be in couplehood in order for that to show up. So that energy that is so driving, that is looking, searching for fulfillment, for satisfaction. And it's good to have this energy. And I'm going to come a little later to how consciousness plays into that whole thing. The yin energy or feminine energy that shows up in the partner that is more grounded in the feminine energy. It doesn't have to be a woman, it could be a man. That this is circular, it's not protruding, not outward. The yin energy, estrogen energy, is round, flowing, playful. That's the creative energy. Mm-hmm. In Sanskrit, it's called Shakti energy, and the two together complement each other, just like yin and yang, the white and black symbols, So this is linear and this is circular. So if we are both like this, guess what? There's no polarity. If we are both like this, no polarity. So this is essential to be very aware of where is my sweet spot, and then dropping into that. And so that is one level of bringing awareness to myself. I welcome the testosterone energy, because it assists me in awakening myself, So, and lust is not good or bad. It just is part of that energy, of that impulse. You called it earlier, there is a need of that within us. It's built into us. It's this impulse that brought us into this world. We wouldn't be talking here if it hadn't been for that. So very powerful. And so that can show up in different ways. It can show up as lusty. We consider it then that it's very much focused on our sexual center. That is where the impulse comes from. Yeah. We can learn to actually channel up that wonderful impulse that is so alivening and alive, that we channel that up into the heart center through the breath. And when we channel our sexual aroused energy into the heart, our heart gets embellished and opened. So there's an integration then between sex and heart that allows us to feel more whole within, also in relating to the other, because when the heart and the sex are integrated, it's more holistic experience, because the heart is the intimate expression. The sex is the sexual, the primal expression. And so when we speak about sex consciousness, it all has to do with funneling that wonderful life-giving energy, never to suppress it. However, to bring awareness to it, breathe it up into the heart. We can breathe it up into our third eye. We can breathe it all the way, connecting with the cosmic within and beyond, and then back down again. So in this way, our cosmic conscious self gets to inform our sexual self, and our sexual self gets to inform our conscious cosmic self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what I'm hearing is most of us, most humans, deal from the root chakra, which is the sexual area, but never bring it up like that, up into the heart and the crown chakra, and what a difference that would make. So speaking of that, I read this on your website. I'm just going to read what you wrote because I think it was so beautiful. You said that the brokenness was displayed by the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement, an explosion that revealed the misunderstandings and differences that have been there for millennia, the blindnesses that have existed between men and women for millennia. And that global shift, and this is what I think is interesting, that global shift from a patriarchal to a matriarchal society won't fix this problem, since they're both hierarchical, can't say that word, systems. So, and then you talk about horizontal partnership model. So tell us about that. What does that look like? Getting rid of, women are on top and men are on top and turning into a partnership. You call it a horizontal partnership. Talk about that. I think that's fascinating.
Let me say something quickly, and you can take it. This polarity at the beginning of our existence, we are zygotes in the womb. We're androgynous, and then it's decided for one reason, man or a woman. And then as grown-ups, we have more testosterone or more estrogen. And as we get older, the whole thing reverses itself. So what we're talking about is how to be conscious of the polarity that exists. I mean, that's why it's so difficult, as we mentioned earlier, Royce, for many people, you mentioned, to be couples, to be in business together, because that polarity and those roles change. Yes. Where the woman becomes maybe the CEO and he's something else, and then she has more. And so not being aware of where and how that energy lands for us, or what is the energy now, creates issues for us and conflict. So replacing one system with another system that's the same system is hierarchical.
Yeah.
Yes, and that has been around for millennia. And at some point, it may have these structures of like the masculine up and the feminine down, when we were in the paleo years, or, hunter-gatherers, where it was all about muscle strength. I mean, killing the buffalo, and the women staying home, nursing the children and cooking and collecting berries. And however, we are living in a very different age and era, and lots has changed. Yet in many ways, we are still in this hierarchical, dynamic.
Yes.
And so it requires consciousness, becoming conscious for all of us, not only men to become more conscious, to be macho or, needing to be the man. Where have we been as women for the last couple of thousand years, that this sustained for so long? And there is no blame to be, given. It's more to look at what didn't we see, or more importantly, what could we see now? And this horizontal, so moving from the hierarchical model where one is up, one is down, to a horizontal model. What it requires is that both of us become aware of the polarity of yin and yang, because at some moment, one of us may be leading and the other following. And then the other leads, and then the first one follows. But these capacities need to be practiced so the nervous system is familiar with that. If I'm in a hierarchical model for 2,000 or 4,000 or 10,000 years, our nervous systems are familiar with, oh, this one is on top. So my worldview actually is then the predominant worldview, not because I'm thinking it is just so. Little room for listening what may be going on down here. And for women to actually start speaking up and to drop into their power, I call it feminine strength and masculine power. They are of different quality. So back to the horizontal model, what we want to practice, what we want to learn is that we are equally good at leading and following, equally good at listening and speaking up, speaking my voice, as well as giving and receiving, and how that shows up in our work is like when we do tantric body work with couples or partnered singles, that when one is the giver and the other is the receiver, that often one says, oh, I feel easy with giving. Receiving, I don't like so much. When I receive, I need to be open and vulnerable. Otherwise, I cannot receive. If I start directing my partner how to touch me and how to do the practice, I'm not letting go. I still need to be the conductor, which means being in control. And that horizontal model of relationship opens our eyes to where we have blindnesses. So how does that play out in relationship? Perhaps you can speak to that in our relationship.
Well, yeah. And so, this work really requires being and developing what we call a curious witness of ourselves, allowing our nervous system to create a new neural pathway, because we have a reactionary automaticity around a lot of these kinds of situations. When the polarity shifts, we get defensive, and then we're off to the races. We don't take a moment to recognize that energetic shift as, we could term it defensiveness or just something different, awkward, uncomfortable, whatever it might be, as a witness of ourselves, to then use some of the somatic practices that have been deepened through working consciously with the sexual practice, because in that intimate vulnerability, we really get a chance to see and feel and be with and choose these frequencies and, sadness. We can work through a lot of, move a lot of energy in these practices when you have an intention that you want to shift, clear, bring something in that you didn't realize you were doing to keep that continuing, So when that work is done, then it continues. It just becomes much more accessible in terms of flattening. I call it flattening that automaticity to react in a situation. We've been teaching together for 25 years. And, sometimes I'm more on top of the, in a workshop. Sometimes she's more on top of the workshop. And we used to fight about that. Now we're a lot easier with each other when we're in a teaching situation, because it's an opportunity. And sometimes we just get right into it in front of the class and we get up right off of it, because stuff doesn't stop happening. It's just it doesn't stick around as long.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Saying you have from triggering to empowering. That is the work Freddy just talks about, and how that plays out in our teaching relationship. And I'm going to say this: the first clue for us really is to start to own our own triggers. As soon as I'm triggered, to own that energetic trigger. Not that there isn't a request or shift or something that can be said or asked or agreed upon to make an action different, but the charge
I've got to own, and that gives me the opportunity to create something new.
Yeah. And I think it's, as you're talking, I'm just thinking about how subtle those triggers can be. Just the fact that, I might react to men in a certain way and women in a certain way and not even realize it. I noticed when I was in high school even that if a guy was talking to me, I had to be cute and, flirty. And it just was this automatic thing that would happen. And I think on some level, we still do that. Maybe we're not as blatant about it, but it's certainly there in terms of how we believe we're supposed to interact with men.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, I want to say something here about that, because it is not to shut that down. It is the awareness,
Yeah.
like you reflecting on it. There's a difference between being on default mode or automatic mode.
Unconscious.
Yeah, versus becoming aware and further aware.
Choice.
There is also to really see that there's something in our biological nature based in hormones that has us be differently and feel and experience differently and be drawn to that polarity of that yin yang. That is a phenomenally strong attraction and power.
Yeah.
It's built into us. So it's not to deny that or pretend, we shouldn't. No, this is there. Again, like with sexual energy, it's the opportunity as a human being to bring awareness to it and become conscious. Because once I'm conscious, I can witness myself. I can see myself in my behavior. And I can then choose, I want to play with this. This is really nice with this man that feels nice. Being aware at the same time that I may have certain agreements in my beloved relationship that is not about then, attracting another man to go to bed with. If I have that agreement, if I have an open relationship, it may be different. Even then, I may be discerning who I may invite in that, dynamic of the yin and yang polarity.
Yeah.
So beautiful you saying that you are aware of that and you see this in your present life, not as explicit perhaps than when we were teenagers, where we just were totally running on hormones,
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting. As you're talking, I'm thinking about a relationship, a very dear friendship that I have with a male who is gay. And I still find myself once in a while relating to him as though, I have to be kind of, flirty with him. Wait a minute. No. So it goes so deep. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the big thing here, Royce, is once we become conscious to have choice. To have choice in a lot of who we are, because a lot of the clay that we are, which that is a appropriated way of being for you, that we all have those things in terms of from our modeling, from our experiences, from our social environments. And some of these things are like the color of our eyes, and it's not about trying to change them. It's about having choice as to when I do or don't with them. That really makes a big difference in the ease and flow.
Yeah. Rose, could we talk a little bit about, because we talked about that relational model of hierarchy and horizontal relationship, this partnership model, because in terms of our work, it is this model is where we come from the heart. It's like a figure 8. This is where we come from a biological, like as if that was the only way of whoever is stronger physically is the more powerful. But that this is a really misguided interpretation. So for the men to move from here into here, because the sexual consciousness for men plays a huge role in that. Could you speak a little bit the tantric practice for
Right,
the men?
right. So for men, we're kind of modeled to really show two emotions, and excuse my French here, fucking or fighting, but intimacy, tenderness, nurturing, don't cry, be tough on the football field, and all of that is what we learn as men. And so when we come into our puberty and we have our first orgasmic experience, we're free of all of that. For a few moments, we are absolutely free of that. We're loving, we're tender, we're emotional, we're open. So for a man, when he gets that erection, he's like really in the subconscious and consciously yearning for that. Now, when he's with a woman, it appears to her that all he wants to do is, take, for indulgence, lust, his own selfishness, that he wants to do this thing. But really, he's looking for the heart connection. So for the man, it's very important to learn to separate ejaculation from orgasm as a first process to uncoupling how this energy has us. Once they start to do that, then they start to see, oh my God, it's too big, it's too hard, it's jealousy, shame, fear. I mean, this sexual energy is loaded for both genders. So once that uncoupling starts, then the next phase of that is learning to move with the breath, attention, and intention, that sexual energy from the sexual centers up to the fourth center, the heart chakras, the heart centers. So once that energy moves, men are capable of having what we call heartgasms as well. And he can also learn to circulate that energy and send it to his beloved. And when she's doing that too, that can become like a microcosmic orbit of circular energy. As opposed to just staying in a 3-second orgasm, you can extend that experience, and then it becomes something that is experienced outside of the bedroom with things, as I mentioned earlier, that don't seem sexual at all. The sunlight on my arm, the joy of watching a child walk for the first time, something that touches you deeply. You can feel and allow that emotion to well up. You can cry. I mean, I cry every day. The news of people, the wars and so on. It's just, and it doesn't mean you get stuck in it. It just becomes life becomes brighter.
So on that note, we need to take a bit of a break, and we'll be right back. I'm talking to Freddy and Elsbeth all about creative energy. Hang with us. They're going to give us a little technique in a few minutes. Be right back.
Om Times TV. Do you crave joy but feel stuck? Do you go through life feeling constantly triggered and frustrated? Fear is likely the culprit, and subconscious fear is likely sabotaging you. Perfect Life Awakening is a time-tested, spiritually based approach to inner transformation created by Royce Morales. For over 40 years, she has helped people get to the origins of subconscious fears and ultimately help them find their true purpose and a life full of joy. Sign up for Perfect Life Awakening today at roycemorales.com. You deserve to go from triggered to empowered, shifting your life with Perfect Life Awakening. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. I am talking with Elsbeth and Freddy about channeling our creative life force, and so fascinating. Before I get back to my conversation, I'm going to selfishly choose to tell everybody that I've finally released my 4th book, and it's actually the beginning of a series of books that I have written for middle grade. But I'm told that adults love it too, because it's about a 12-year-old girl that has this experience when her grandfather dies, where he's able to speak with her. And she learns such wisdom from him and goes through an entire life transformation, discovers her own true purpose in life. And it's really fascinating. I would highly recommend it for any age. But if you happen to have a middle grade person that loves to read, this would be a very enlightening experience. And you can find it on my website, roycemorales.com. You can find my other books there too. So enough about me. Let's talk about a little bit more. Talk about one of the questions that you suggested that I ask is, what is blissful love? Can you describe that or explain that? Because I think that's really important.
Yes. Yes. So blissful love is, we all may dream of bliss, at least to be there at some point in or points in our life. A few years ago, I set out for myself to live a blissful life. At that time, I didn't really know how and if that was going to happen, but I set it out as an intention. And then I lived into it. And over the last few years, that really has embellished and taken on an existence, a presence in my life. When I came to that, blissful is not just like this high moment, that's moment of orgasm that we often may desire because it feels so good. We don't have to think, because we cannot have an orgasm and think at the same time. This is part of why we may love an orgasm so much. It's very short-lived. How can I live in a state of bliss? And so for me, it has to do with the reintegration of myself. As I said earlier, integrating the sexual, the love, heart energy, and the mental and consciousness energy is, and in the process of this practice of integrating, I will get to see what is out of sync, what is out of balance. Where have I lived with an illusion or a delusion about love, about the sexual, about partnership, about relationship, about life itself? And that was not always an easy, and it keeps going because life keeps going, It was extremely eye and heart opening for me to face myself in the fallacies that I had been living in. And when that falls away, suffering falls away, because that what I dream of that may be guided by illusion, that something I may be driven by, I need to have this in order to be fulfilled, in order to feel happy. And to clear that, what deluded me has me then arise to a state of non-suffering. Again, nothing is permanent. It goes in waves. But the question is, am I going like this, from despair to hope to exhilaration and back down again? Or can I live at peace? Can I live with joy? Can I live in gratitude? Wherever I cannot do that, that's the friction. That's the place to look. And so for me, sexual, what also opened up further is to explore passion further, to explore the primal further. Because in exploring the primal, I get to contact my lusty self.
Mm.
My sexual energy is impulsive, just like anger. We don't decide to get horny. We don't decide to get angry. It comes over us. Then how am I with that? It's not to feel lust. It is not to feel anger. However, am I going to be swallowed up by the anger, or am I going to be swallowed up by that lust? I need this for, even if I may hurt myself, the process. So that was really a great opening. And I feel now that I'm embracing my primal and my cosmic self as one, while they are just like yin and yang, two parts of the same coin, and they are in their essence different. Yet I have come together within myself that I can be both places simultaneously and get wisdom from the cosmic, and in life and aliveness from the primal, and have them dance together within me. So I dance in an alive yet a way away.
Yeah, yeah. So, leading off of what you just said, clearly, if enough of us did this or were even conscious of it, the world would definitely change. What do you perceive would happen if enough of us, the consciousness shifted to enough of us, the 100th monkey theory, where enough of us can shift things? What would happen?
Yeah, I think that one of the things for us is dropping the vilification of the sexual. And I think we're in the process of all of that. Like with even pornography that we have such either good or bad, opinions about. I think it's people beginning to come out of the closet with the sexual. Women are seeing, oh, I can do that. Oh, that's what that looks like. Oh, this is what it looks like. I've never seen people having sex or whatever it might be. It's like we're gorging ourselves with the lust of it, the pornography of it. Like, now you can eat. Oh, so you've really been hungry. You're going to eat everything, McDonald's and everything that tastes good. And then you get big and your systems start breaking down. Now you have to eat some vegetables and change. So I think that what we're talking about in terms of using the existing intelligence that's encapsulated in this sexual energy, which, again, was around before we had language and encapsulates our lineage. Then, and as we use our consciousness and our wisdoms to, draw on that energy to be more fulfilled and move through the ego and the unconscious automaticities, the warring, the opinionated, and get back to the heart, which we can all drop into, because just below, Stella, I could have been contender, this damn weather, this traffic, or whatever got us in this fix. Just beneath that is this ease and flow. So to be able to tap into that at will from the stuff that we we create as the upset, then I think that can allow, and with AI, I think AI is going to shift a lot of things as well. If we put into AI the kind of consciousness that's potentially, because if we put in the usual kind of warring and the, ego and the Machiavellian war stuff, then that's what AI is going to be looking for. But if we move with AI and have AI support us in supporting health, well-being for all humans on the planet and peace, and we have all the countries buying into that, then we can use that AI consciousness to make a better world. And so I think I see the glass half full.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying is so important. And what I see happening in our world right now is that everything you're saying is going like this. It's coming up and coming up. And then there are factors that are going, no, 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 and trying to push it down. So it's almost a good sign that there's so much resistance and craziness going on, because it's bringing it to the surface. It's waking us up. It's saying, hey, you got to look at this over here, So I think that's so important. It's a good sign. So
yeah, I also think, Royce, that for consciousness to arise things have to boil, like they have to come up,
Yes.
as you alluded to, like with the Epstein situation, that it's a
Yes.
global situation. This is not one culture, one country. It's pervasive. And this is when we speak about unconsciousness, it's the unconsciousness of the male. It's male unconsciousness. Now, we women are part of it, because even if we didn't see it, we didn't look, or we didn't dare to speak up. So for me, this is another, like, there was Me Too and Time Up. Now this is another level, and as brutal as it is to witness, for the women who were used in this scam. And there are places where this is still happening. This is not over. Yet it is coming out to an extent we didn't even know that it was there. And that is like, raising the awareness, which is so essential.
Like the dystopia before the utopia.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Exactly.
blaming is not going to resolve it. Making wrong is not going to resolve it. What is going to, like, we do our part. And of course, our practices, there is a selective group of people who come to us. It's compared with the world population, it's minimal. However, we hold it like that women who come to us and learn and become aware of their own self, their sexual self, their emotional self, how they, and how they bring this into relationship, and then these sparks, that radiate out from this new learning, and they affect their community, even if other people in their community don't go through the same learning process, but there's a different frequency. And so this is how I hold it, that at least we can make a little dent into that, consciousness of humankind.
No, absolutely. I think that, if women were brought up at an early age, as soon as puberty hit, to embrace their sexuality and to learn how to draw on it and to really covenant, then that kind of abuse wouldn't be possible. They could see right through it and wouldn't even go there. And men, if they were aware of their sexuality, they wouldn't do that either. So the consciousness is expanding what we've been doing for 25 years, and hopefully there is a cascading effect of it continuing to expand.
So we only have like 2 more minutes. Can you do share a practice of channeling energy in 2 minutes? Is that feasible?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So sit erect, everyone who's listening, sit erect. If you drive, don't close your eyes. Yeah. Otherwise, close your eyes and squeeze your pelvic floor muscles as if you were holding back the urination, like you hold it. Don't release the muscles. Hold it, hold it. Then let the muscles go. Open your pelvic floor. Squeeze again. Squeeze, hold it, hold it, hold it. Then relax, let go. One more time, squeeze, 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 and let go. Relax, relax the muscle. Now exhale all air. Take a deep breath in, into the nose, into the lungs, into the belly. And on the exhalation, let the breath trickle down and out of your base into the seat. Take a deep breath in, breathing up all the way, filling the belly to the top of the head. And then let the breath trickle down and out of your base into the seat. Now squeeze your muscle, breathe in, and breathe up that squeeze as if you were pulling up all the way up to your crown. Hold it there for a moment. And on the exhalation, let the squeeze go and send the breath down through your system, through your torso, out of the base into the seat. Squeeze the muscle, breathe in, pull that energy from the squeeze up all the way up to your crown. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And let the squeeze go and let the breath trickle down through your torso all the way down and out of your base. One more time, squeeze, breathe in, pull up that energy from the squeeze all the way up to your head. Hold it there, hold it there. And on the exhalation, let it go. The squeeze, the breath trickles down like water through you, opening into the seat, into the earth. And then continue breathing in your own rhythm. And just notice how you feel right now. Where's your energy? How does your body feel? Any tingling? Any movement? How do you feel in your pelvic floor, in your sexual center?
And I hate to say this, but we have to go. They're going to cut us off. Thank you so much. But continue on, everybody out there, and feel that energy and spread the word. Thank you, Elsbeth and Freddy. This was wonderful. And happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.